things I'd like, well, not just to speak about today, I'm actually going to teach it, because this is lived experience. This is something that I've personally done, and I've helped hundreds of people. It's probably even more than hundreds of people around the world. So I'll start off by talking about how to value and love yourself more. And again, that can sound cliche, because today people say it all over tweets and Facebook, and people write books about it. And people say the right words and the right things, which is great. But a lot of people don't actually live it, they don't apply it. Because saying love yourself and saying value yourself and have higher standards, anyone can say that. But to actually live that and put that into practice takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of strength. And someone that's willing, that's going to do that, has got to go through hell and back. You know, you've got to go through a lot of people not liking you, and a lot of challenges, emotional, mental, etc. But if it means enough to you to succeed, you'll go through it, and the reward is always worth it. So I've been just thinking lately, I've been coaching a lot of clients. Obviously, I'm a work in progress. You never stop learning in life and growing, certainly with my mindset. And I've been thinking a lot lately about, you know, and I like to reflect, and a lot of times when I teach, I have to reflect on where I started and where I've got to now, what are the things I've done, so I can help my clients to be successful. And I'm doing a great job at the moment. They're getting great results, and I feel good about it. So I want to start off by talking about being in a bad relationship. I think everybody will relate, man or woman, it doesn't matter what background you're from. We've all found ourselves in life in a bad relationship. And I was thinking about this today before I'd done this video. You know, a bad relationship doesn't always have to be with a person or people, even though a lot of the times it is that. A bad relationship can just be in a life that you don't like, a job that you don't like, habits that you don't like, you know, gyms, environments, financial, your income. You know, for me, a bad relationship is about having a bad relationship to something, with food, all those things. And I've experienced all these things, and I've turned it around. So when you're not bullshitting, and you say, right, I'm making a commitment now that I want better for myself in life, I want to be a better person, but I want better standards. So when I think about the things that I've done in my life, I'll be 40 this year. I didn't like the way I was being treated many years, you know, with the friends that I had and the social circle. I don't mean by everyone, but there was a certain point I wasn't happy in my relationships. And I went through a stage that many of my clients do, and you might be going through this right now, where I felt like I just had to put up with it. Unconsciously, the deep-rooted fear is, you know, I'm not going to get love somewhere else. Like, even though the relationships are, I'm not going to go as far as to say toxic and abusive, because it can be, but maybe that's a bit extreme. But let's just say that you're not happy in the relationships. You don't feel valued. You don't feel good. You're not enjoying it. They're not positive. They're not honest. They're not great. You know, it's very easy, because of the things that we go through growing up, you know, our cultures, the past, the bullying that we've experienced, low self-esteem, especially if you've grown up in a poor area, which I did, and you've taken on a poverty mindset. All these things play on your self-esteem, and it's very easy to feel like, well, I'm not happy in this relationship or these relationships, but I don't really have a choice, because I can't get better. It's not possible for me. So, you know, that's what you're up against. That's the opposition, psychologically, emotionally. No, let's be honest. When you're by yourself, that private conversation is going to be really uncomfortable and negative. And it's going to make you feel ashamed, and it's going to make you feel angry and upset and all those things, right? That's why I say the work's difficult to build your confidence and to live a better life and have higher standards, but it's worth it for those that value it. So a big part of it is the fear of loneliness, because some people would rather be in relationships where they're not happy, but they're not on their own. They're not lonely. So they have someone, or they have a group of people. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be people. Many people, and I mean, that's why I do business coaching now, are in jobs that they don't enjoy. They hate their job. They don't enjoy it. They're not getting treated the way they want. they're not getting paid enough money, they don't feel valued, they're not passionate about their job, it doesn't give them excitement, they don't really have a purpose, they're not excited about the job, they're in a bad relationship with their job and career, but they're terrified to leave it. They're afraid to leave it because they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of trying to go and get something better in case they fail. And they're afraid of the pain that comes with that. We all are. Everyone is, until you actually face it. And even when you face it, you're still going to be scared of it. Part of you human. So that conversation is very similar to the one with a person. Like I said, this whole bad relationship, it doesn't always have to be with a person or in a romantic relationship. It's a pattern. It's a certain position in life. So it's a similar one with leaving a negative group of friends or a negative person that you're dating and going off and finding someone better, because it's like, well, it's going to take long. How long will it take? Will it ever happen? I'm going to be lonely. What will I do on my own? I won't be able to manage. I'm not going to be loved. I'm not going to get all those things that I want. And then it's the same with a job. It's like, well, if I leave my job, what am I going to do for money? It gives me financial security. How will I pay my bills? Or I'll have to go into my savings. I'm not willing to do, you get stuck in this predicament where you end up, if you're not strong, really strong, and you're not committed, you end up compromising. So although you're not happy, you rationalize it and say, well, I'm not happy, but that's okay. It pays my bills, or the person's not treating me well, or we don't really get along, but we're good over here. You can be stuck in that forever. And the real truth is deep down, no one who's in that position is ever happy. I've been there myself, and I've helped so many clients who have been there. Happy people have got courage. They go through the pain, the agony. They do what it takes, and I've done it. I did it in my years ago. I was working in an office and I weren't enjoying it. I was pleased that I got the job because it was a respectable job. And I was kind of underqualified, but I got the job based on, my honesty, my communication skills in the interview. They gave me the job. They liked my personality, but I just wasn't. After a month, I knew I can't do this. It's not for me. It's not fun. It's boring. I'm not enjoying this job, and it's not going to change. It's not going to get any better. The longer I stay, it's going to get worse. So I quit the job, took a risk. It was scary. I was frightened. Everybody said I was doing it. I had no support other than myself and my faith, God, and Les Brown. No one believed in me. Everybody said to me, what are you going to do? How are you going to set your own business up? How is it going to work financially? It's not stable. It's not secure. The usual stuff people say. I didn't listen to them, thank God. I didn't compromise that bad relationship and the advice I was getting. So I stuck at it, and it changed my life. They were wrong. All those people were wrong. They just didn't have the education and the passion and the belief that I did. I succeeded. I made more money in my business than any job that I've ever worked in. I created freedom. I absolutely love what I do. This is years ago, over 10 years ago. And I became successful, and I became financially free. Not just financially free, I became free in being my own boss and doing what I love, and coaching people that I want to work with and changing their life. So what it took for me to do that was a decision and a commitment. And during that time, I had to go through all those things that anyone who is wanting to change a bad relationship to a negative one, i.e. if they want to change their job, if they want to change their partner, if they want to change their social circle. I've done all these things. I've been in also a negative relationship in a romantic one years ago. I changed that. And I've been in a negative relationship with a whole social circle, and I lost my whole social circle when I became successful and positive and happy, which wasn't a loss for me. I was happy, and I made more positive friends. So I've done it in pretty much every area. And also to come back on that, obviously years later I had a mental breakdown. That's a bad relationship. That's a terrible relationship when you're going through that. I was in a mental hospital. I was literally in my version of hell. I didn't give up, kept going, and I escaped that. I've come back from mental illness. Now I'm in a great place. Literally, I'm in a nice flat, and I'm in a good place mentally and emotionally, and I'm succeeding in everything, financially, in my business, in my training. Obviously, my life isn't perfect. No one is, but it's amazing from what it was. So that's why I'm saying today I'm qualified to be teaching what I'm teaching people, because I've done it and lived it. Gone from a bad place into a good place. But of course, that destination, that journey from let's say A, for example, is the bad relationship, whether it's life, mental health, in a real relationship with a person or a job. Going from the bad one to the good one, it's hell. It is scary. I'm not going to lie about that. You do have to go through periods where you are lonely, where you're not going to get that same validation and external love that you were getting when you're around people. But the good news is you learn to find it in yourself. And I know this does sound a bit cheesy, but like no human being other than God, in my opinion, right? I don't know if God, I don't think God's human. I don't know how to define God, but you understand what I mean. I believe in God. No human being can give you that real love that you're searching for other than really yourself, finding your purpose in life. And a lot of it, again, sounding cheesy, but I mean it from my heart. A lot of the love that people are looking for is really the love that you can give to other people. Does that make sense? Kind of deep, but I know what I'm saying. I've lived it and I am living it. So we're afraid to lose that kind of love from people or security from our work. But it's not worth it because it's not really real anyway, because it comes with abuse, it comes with negativity, and we never really feel good about it. But when you live your purpose, when you follow your heart and you take the risk and you don't listen to ignorant people, which is most people are going to say that unless they're awake, they're caring, they genuinely want you to succeed and they've done it themselves so they understand, you have to ignore it. And you go through these things. And what happened to me was eventually I weren't lonely anymore because I met the right woman. I met the right friends and I had it in myself. I found that connection with myself. I really did. I really had that thing that we yearn for. Certainly was able to hold on for it for a lot longer as opposed to when I was in these bad relationships. And it's the same, like I said, with fitness. Recently, to inspire everyone who follows me, I wasn't in good shape because of I got depressed and I was on medication back in 2017, and obviously I was in hospital. So when I come out, I didn't stop fighting to get back in shape. I started losing weight. COVID came, got a bit depressed again, like everyone, put weight on. Now I've lost the weight. I've lost like 20 pounds. I feel in amazing shape. I'm fit. I love the gym. I train like 4 or 5 times a week, clean my diet up, still improving. So I've done it in all these areas, and that's why I had to put this video. I have to give back. And like I said to you before, when you find your purpose and you live it, you know, you get a lot of this. It's really more about what you give. Because when you're in those bad relationships, and I've been there, you always eventually fall into that kind of victim mentality. It's hard not to. And you're like needy, you're desperate, you're empty, you want things from people because you don't feel complete. But when you follow your heart and you succeed, I said this to one of my clients who was struggling with external validation. Quite a few clients have had this as well, where they feel bad if they don't get that validation from people around them. And I understand that. We're all guilty of that to some degree, but I said they'll eradicate that massively by living their purpose. But of course, to live your purpose, what does it entail? Pain, suffering, sacrifice, discipline, dedication, accountability, taking responsibility, not being liked by lots of people. People hate you and they're jealous, and the reality is they don't like you when you're confident and successful because it makes them feel insecure or whatever. But the good news is a lot of people will like you, really good people. There's always good people out there that will love you, respect you. You'll connect with them, you'll build relationships with them. It will just happen naturally. You'll just both want to be around each other. You have that congruent relationship. But more importantly, you learn to love yourself. You learn to get to know yourself more, and that's an ongoing thing. And you have this connection. And maybe it won't feel exactly the same as, when you get like that kind of affection from other people, which is, we are addicted to that from when we were a kid. But as you become an adult, I think like part of growing is being able to let go of that and get a better connection, which is, it's hard to explain it until you've experienced it. Maybe some of you have. I hope all of you eventually will, because I have, and it's an amazing feeling. And I know I'm going quite deep here, but it's the truth. When you get that deeper connection, all these external things that we worry about, they come anyway. And then you appreciate them, but you don't care about them as much. So money comes, respect comes, adulation, all that stuff comes. I'm not a huge fan of the word. I find the word kind of grotesque, and I'm not interested in it in that way. But I know some people seek it, and I understand. There was a period where I was seeking it. Fame. I suppose everyone wants some level of fame because everyone wants to be seen and appreciated, and I get that. We're all kind of guilty of that, but that comes anyway. People just it's a weird thing. There's 2 reactions from the world when you go down this path of a fearless life or living your best life. the world reacts in two ways. The first way is in jealousy and envy and hatred, and people make all kind of accusations and call you horrible names, or they hate you, or they just don't like you, or they're jealous. It's a very negative, toxic reaction. It comes from the bad relationship from humanity. But you also get a great reaction. Your fellow human being respects you and admires you and wants to collaborate, or just loves you for what you've done and the heart and the person that you are. So I really see this as going down the path of truth and honesty, which most of society are not going to do, because it takes so much courage to do this, to make these changes and go in this direction, when the majority of people don't think in this way, because they've been conditioned by society. They've been taught to think in the machine the same way. And that never felt right for me growing up. I'm not saying all of it, I'm not being extreme. There are some things in society that are fine, that are kind of like healthy, but most of them, they just don't feel right. So for those people that want to live at a higher standard and live more of a successful life, you've got to face this kind of, I guess it's a fear of abandonment. It's a fear of being ostracized from the tribe. It really is a frightening fear, but it is an illusion. Because like I said, when you face it, I know this is really deep. I feel it's okay for me. So when you face it, you realize that you can't be abandoned. You can only really abandon yourself. And most people are abandoning themselves anyway, because many years ago, I know I abandoned myself by hanging out with people that were not good for me, and I weren't being valued properly, and I stayed in jobs that I was treated like trash and low paid. I didn't enjoy it, it didn't feel right. I knew in my heart personally, I always felt God had a bigger plan for me, but I had to obviously do my part. So, being in relationships that are negative and being afraid to leave them because they give you some security or some feeling of love, for me personally, that's abandonment, that's self-abandonment. Because deep down in your heart, you're lying to yourself. You know that you don't really want to be there. You know that the relationships are not fruitful enough. You know it. But when you follow your heart, I even feel it now when I'm saying these words, and I live this. And I'm not going to sit here and be arrogant and act like it's easy. It's not easy for me. It really challenges me. It challenges me to live like this every day. But I like the challenge. I grow. And more importantly, the more I live my purpose, the less selfish I feel, because most of my purpose is about serving other people. And I love doing that. And that's being authentic. That's being genuine and being vulnerable. So being vulnerable isn't easy. But the more you do it, it does get easier and it is rewarding, and you do kind of get used to living like this. And I would never go back to my old life. Personally, in my old life, I lived as a coward. I was a doormat. I didn't have much love. They were just like, I didn't like it. But again, I have got compassion. I do understand there are a lot of people that would like to live a better life and make changes, but they just can't manage to do it because they're so scared. And I totally get that, and I'm not going to judge people for that. I've been there myself. But for those people who complain all the time, then I'm going to say, well, come on, man, get your act together. If you keep complaining, it's not going to help the situation. It's just going to make everybody miserable. Do something about it or stop complaining. Be grateful for what you do have. So, it's quite amazing. And then there's other fears that you got to take on. And this might sound really deep, but when I made these changes in my life, and I'm kind of talking to you like this has been over a course of 15, 20 years, I got scared. It was a good scared. It was like, man, I'm scared because, wow, like I'm not used to feeling secure in myself. I'm not used to actually liking myself and loving myself and having confidence and actually like things going well and actually having boundaries and being able to say no and not be afraid of people, what they're going to say, what they're going to think, and just having a better life. I was really scared when I first experienced that. Excited as well, thrilled. It was a good scare. It's like a shock to the system. Like you're overwhelmed because you feel so much love and you feel really good. And when you've spent many years of your life feeling not loved and not good, and then you do feel loved and you are doing better in every area and you're doing better financially and people respect you more, and you have a better respect for other people, and you have standards, and you're not just going to accept, a shit life in any area. Whether that's your physique, your finances, your relationships, your career, your job, the way that you live your life, just from the smallest little things to the biggest things, your whole kind of attitude, the way that you move around life. And then you just start to have, like, when I think about it, you just have amazing conversations with other human beings. Like, you just connect with other people that are on the same level as you are, the same wavelength, all different types of people. You just have like I know this sounds really deep. It's almost like you do find your other family. You do find people that just get you and you get them, and you don't judge each other, and you just have a great connection. It's amazing. And it's almost like it's quite healing for everybody when you connect. You have a better connection. And I think that's what bad relationships lack, whether it's the gymnasium that you go, the job that you do, the person you're with, the place where you live. If it's not right, there's no connection. It's a disconnection. And that's very painful, because we need connection in everything that we do. And that's why when you find your purpose, there is a spiritual connection, mental, emotional, psychological, biological, and it's so much better. It feels better. So that's what I wanted to say today. I think a lot of you will appreciate it. I know a lot of you like the deep conversations. I coach you in person, meet you in person. And, you know, there's always a time where people might not be open now, but they might be a bit more open later on. And that's the good thing about putting the videos up and, you know, having them up for as long as they're going to remain online. So that's really a full explanation and breakdown on how I did it. And I know I speak for a lot of other people that have done it. My clients have done it. Some of them are doing it right now. That's how you change your life, or that's how you change any negative relationship. Like I said, it doesn't have to be specific. I know a lot of people associate bad relationship with a person, but it doesn't always have to mean that. It can be of yourself. It can be, as I said, with your finances or with the job that you do. But listen, the great thing that I've realized, I'm going to leave everyone on this, no matter how challenging it is, how afraid you are, whatever your mind's telling you, if you don't believe in yourself, you always have the ability and the power to respond to the situation and change it. Fearless.